Week 4 is just around the corner, and it is time to beat the waiver wire.
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody, to Fantasy Football Today Express. Adam, Aizer, Dave Richard. Here we go. All right, who is the one player we should be stashing right now?
The one player that I think we should be stashing right now is Troy Franklin of the Denver Broncos. He's available in 49% of CBS leagues. He's going to be available in more leagues on other sites, including Yahoo, ESPN, and Sleeper. I love the target volume through the first 2 weeks of the season, and I think he's going to be impactful most of the time. Maybe as like a potential flex play. I doubt he evolves into someone who becomes a must-start fantasy receiver, but he could end up mattering. He's got speed. He can make plays after the catch. He's got timing and rhythm down with Bo Nix, and he's got an offense that is looking for that number 2 target guy. We thought it could be Evan Ingram. So far, it hasn't been. We thought it could be Marvin Mims. Nah, he's in a complimentary role. I think it's going to end up being Franklin. I really liked what I've seen from him through the first 2 weeks of the season.
Okay, let's get into the position-by-position stuff here. Looking at week 4 and start with some quarterbacks. Any quarterbacks that we need to beat the waiver wire with?
Well, Jake Browning's still available in 60% of leagues. I don't like the matchup in week 4 against Denver. I don't hate the matchup week 3 against Minnesota. Top 15 type of fantasy quarterback, and we know he's going to be a steady starter for Cincinnati pretty much till December at the absolute earliest. So he's certainly capable of being a good fantasy quarterback. Maybe not necessarily a great one. If you don't like that matchup against Denver, there are some other names. I love Stafford against Indianapolis in week 4. I think the Cinderella slipper falls off of Indianapolis in that game, and I think Stafford's been playing great. And just to get ahead of a couple of guys, Darnold, 75% available. I thought he played decently last week. If Wentz ends up being okay for Minnesota, he's available in 80% of leagues. We don't know if JJ McCarthy is going to be back or not. But in deeper leagues, if you want to try and just get your hands on somebody, he's got the Steelers in week 4. And the Steelers defense just has not been what we thought they would be so far this season.
What do you think about Bryce Young at New England? New England's one of those teams that we're targeting, I think, from a standpoint of, of passing production. And then let me check real quick Justin Fields' roster rate because he gets Miami. Justin Fields is 82% rostered.
Maybe he's too rostered. And I think the Patriots defense changes significantly if Christian Gonzalez is back.
Fair enough. Yeah, we'll see that. We'll see. Hopefully we'll see that this week. Okay, running backs to stash.
All these guys are simply stashes. They're not players that you can go and use potentially in week 4. But if you want to carry them through week 3, it makes sense. Woody Marks for Houston, 77% available. The 2 backups in Washington, Chris Rodriguez at 84%, Jeremy McNichols, 93%. I like Rodriguez better, but I'm not coaching the Commanders, so they might like McNichols more. Certainly McNichols is the better pass protector between the two. If you are patient, Caleb Johnson is still available in 40% of leagues. He figures to matter at some point. And then 2 other names. Rashard Smith, available in 94% of leagues. If Isaiah Pacheco struggles against the Giants, the Chiefs are going to have to go in a different direction. Blake Corum, 66% available. Look, I think he's going to end up getting decent work with Kyren Williams. And if Kyren Williams fumbles a bunch or gets hurt, Corum's going to be inserted right into the lineup for LA.
A guy that you might be able to play even if there's not an injury to the starter, and this won't be until week 5 at the earliest, is Tyjae Spears. He's 37% rostered.
Yep, great call.
He's on IR. And then what do you think about Woody Marks? Because I just don't really get the sense that Joe Mixon...
No, I think Woody could end up mattering. Here's his pathway. Joe Mixon doesn't come back and Nick Chubb doesn't impress.
Yeah, which is...
That's it.
I feel like the odds are pretty decent on those 2 scenarios.
There you go. Stash Woody Marks.
We're going to take a break and talk about wide receivers to stash. Always a good list there. You would take a look at Brandon Ayuk, who started running a little bit, but he still might be a ways away. But we'll tell you which wide receivers you should stash after this on FFTE. All right, we're back. Should it be FFTE or FFTEX?
Express starts with an E.
Yeah, but FFT, or it could just be FFTX.
Whatever.
Okay. Who are some WRs that we need to STASH?
In shallow leagues, double check for Juwan Jennings and Darnell Mooney, but in most leagues, they're already rostered. I put these 4 names under a category called start or stash, meaning you can use them in week 3 if you so choose. Wan'Dale Robinson's available in more than a third of CBS Sports leagues. We know what his floor is in PPR. Franklin, we've already talked about in Denver. And then 2 other names. One of them, Adam's going to love a lot. Rashid Shaheed for the Saints, 48% available. And Christian Kirk. Look at Adam raising the roof, 48% available. Could be a solution to Houston's offensive issues, at least as a safe short area target for CJ Stroud. I don't mind the idea of grabbing Kirk, seeing how he does this week. If he gets a lot of targets, a lot of catches, okay, cool. He's somebody that you might be able to use down the line. And if he doesn't, then you go ahead and you cut him and you pivot to one of the other names on this list or a bunch of other receivers that are out there in the majority of leagues like Dobbs, Dontavian Wicks. You mentioned Ayuk as an IR stash. There are 2 other IR stashes, Jalen Coker for the Panthers and Christian Watson for Green Bay. You could always carry them if you've got an open IR spot. No harm, no foul.
And there's one guy that I think isn't getting any recognition. It's Josh Palmer. Because, look, all of the Bills wide receivers had bad games in week 2 because they steamrolled the Jets and Josh Allen barely threw, and Josh Allen left the game, for a little rest in the fourth quarter, right? So he only had 3 targets, but they all had bad games.
True.
He's basically right up there in targets with Coleman and Shakir. This is not a full-throated endorsement of Josh Palmer, but it is a guy who's playing on the Bills. And again, it's always like, well, what if they had made that play? It was wide open for a touchdown in week 1. And Allen missed him. What if he had made that play? Then he might be, he might be 45% roster or something. He's currently 19% roster.
He's absolutely one of the deep stashes. Luther Burden is a deep stash. Isaac Tesla is a deep stash. And less deep of a stash, and we just have to say his name because everybody's saying his name, is Alec Iomanner. And just the role that he seems to have gotten in Tennessee is a pretty good one. He's available in 2/3 of CBS leagues.
Right. I talked about before the season started that 5 years in a row, we've had at least 2 rookie wide receivers be drafted after round 9 and finish top 24 per game or overall.
Yep.
And, you had guys like McConkey, who was kind of flirting with that, Brian Thomas Jr. last year. I don't really see it right now. Right, like Trey Harris is kind of buried, and Jack Besh, I don't think it's going to really happen for him. And the Texans guys just had their shot, and it didn't happen yet. Not say it would not happen.
They didn't get much of a shot.
But Alec Iomanner is actually on the field doing stuff. He might be the best candidate right now.
So is Torrey Horton. Caught a touchdown last week in Seattle. Yeah.
Okay. Is this right? Is Dontavian Wicks really 8% roster? That can't be right.
He is available in 92% of leagues.
Oh, that's weird.
Absolutely. Listen, if you're reaching for Josh Palmer, double check to see if Wicks is there and reach for him first.
I agree. Yep. Tight ends?
Tight end start and maybe end with Harold Fannin still available in 48% of CBS leagues. I think some managers were turned off by his production last week. You shouldn't be. He's startable this week as far as I'm concerned. If you've got TJ Hawkinson, Mark Andrews, you're a knucklehead and you started Jake Tongas last week, go and get yourself Harold Fannin. I know it's a matchup against Green Bay that's tough, but I think he can be a good target getter and good with those numbers. 2 other stash candidates at tight end. Isaiah Likely, who is back at practice this week, available in 52% of leagues. And Colston Loveland, who available in 52% of leagues, had a lot of hype coming into the year. I heard Ben Johnson talk about this week how his tight ends have been playing a lot and they haven't been targeted a lot. He wants to rectify that. And maybe that means some good things for Loveland. The note that I wrote next to his name, Adam, is you could add him late on Saturday, carry him through Sunday. If he does nothing, you drop him and you pick somebody else up on Wednesday.
Could definitely do that. Any DSTs you like next week?
We're thin on DSTs that I like next week, but New England against Carolina, they're available in 72% of leagues. They've got a sick pass rush, and Christian Gonzalez might be back. For Detroit, they're available in 54% of leagues. They've got the Browns. Browns have given up some good numbers to DSTs.
Thank you, Dave Richard. Good work as always on the Beat the Waiver Wire players. This has been FFTX, and we will talk to you on Sunday morning with another edition. See you later.